What the hell is going on, people? This is Periodik, and you see the title of the video. We are jumping back into Dragonball Z Dokkan Battle. We are jumping back into the 6-year anniversary for Global. We're jumping back into our LR tier list, this time for the month of July 2021. And this is going to be a little bit more condensed, hopefully a little bit faster. Now, the things you have to keep in mind is, number one, this is a global only tier list. You will not see any Japan exclusive units at the moment. And number two, this will not have free-to-play LRs in it. So you will see Extreme Z Awakened LRs, and you will see Dokkan Fest LRs as well as Legendary Banner LRs, but you won't see free-to-plays or JP. Do I make myself clear? Good, let's get into it.
I shut it down wherever power is stored. Being real is in the past, watching cowards get on. It ain't kill me, so it's making me stronger. And these bite-sized rappers now sets in my home.
So, as you can see, here is the tier list. We are starting at the bottom, and we're going to work our way to the top. Meaning, the bottom tiers are the lower quality tiers, and the higher tiers are the better the card is. Now, I kind of rank these characters or these units on number of factors. Number one, how versatile are they? Can they be used on different teams? How good are they on extremely difficult content? We're talking about certain Extreme Z Awakenings, Legendary Extreme Z Awakenings, God of Destruction event, Extreme Super Battle Road, GT Legendary Goku event, etc., etc. And then the last thing is essentially the stats, right? How hard can they hit? How well can they be defensive? Yada, yada, yada. This is all my opinion. So if you disagree, I am more than happy to hear you out. But please leave a well-thought-out comment instead of just, oh, X character is on this tier list bad. Because at that point, you're just showing that you're brain dead. And you've probably needed help in constructing that sentence. Without further ado, let's jump into it. Starting at the very bottom, the Farmer with a Shotgun tier are 5 units. You have, and they're pretty much, for the most part, pretty old units. AGL Majin Vegeta, AGL Mighty Mask, Intelligence Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, Super Saiyan 3 Tech Goku, and Physical Trunks. Now, one thing that all of these guys share in common is that their defense is not consistent. For the first 3, let me take a step back. Majin Vegeta and Super Saiyan 2 Gohan have no defense to speak of, right? They're only getting defense from links. Mighty Mask, 30% of the time you're doing an 18-key super attack, you may get defense. Super Saiyan 3 Goku, you sacrifice your offense to have some semblance of defense. And Physical Trunks kind of stacks his defense, but it falls off very quickly. And that's a problem. Now, none of them have trouble doing offense. In fact, they all excel in it. But in this meta where defense is king, they are all liabilities. So moving up to the Master Roshi tier, few more units on here, and now we're starting to get to units that are a lot more well-rounded, but they have certain flaws. So for example, we'll start at the end there, Strength Beerus. If you pair him next to a Whis or Evados, and you have some kind of support coming on rotation as the third character, then Strength, Beerus, and Whis are unbelievably good. Unfortunately, they do need a lot to be exceptionally good, and if you don't provide them with that, then they are mediocre. They are very, very quick to be mediocre, and they're kind of pigeonholed in having only certain characters because their links are very, very detailed. Now, the Physical Bardock there is a fantastic character. He's kind of an all-around jack of all trades. Unfortunately, he doesn't really excel in any one area. He's not really spectacular in offense nor defense. He's just kind of, a middle-of-the-road character, which isn't bad. Goku Black and Zamasu just get absolutely destroyed on short events. They are meant for longer events, and even on longer events, their defense isn't going to get to the point where it's stupendous. They do have great mechanics with their healing, and they have a god tier link set. They are going to be broken when they get an Extreme Z Awakening. Physical Cell has gotten a much better than what he was, particularly the Link level update probably boosted him the most, so he is definitely usable now, whereas in the past he was kind of just meh. Strength, Trunks, and Mai, kind of another unit that has to be on one team to perform really, really well, and that's because, you know, they get a boost depending on who's on their team. They're a little wonky because they can be used on Super Battle Road, but again, only on like one event, because if you are just throwing them in like a Hybrid Saiyans, well, not even Hybrid Saiyans because you have Mai on there, but if you're throwing them on some other type of team that isn't Time Travelers, then they're not going to have much defense to speak of, and they'll get absolutely roasted in SBR, even though you want to bring them there because of the chance to stun. The Vegeta Nappa, the Vegeta exchange is legit spectacular. Love that card. I wish it was a standalone LR. The Nappa is bad. The Nappa is just not good. It's not going to do much damage at all. Damage is actually pretty pitiful. The defense isn't particularly great. And this just felt like the Nappa was meant to be a World Tournament card, and they added the Vegeta as a last second thing to try to make this into a legendary rare, and it just didn't work. With that said, as I talked to Tiger about this, and he quoted, and I quote what Tiger said, "I only use him for World Tournament." There's that. LR Frieza, really strong offensively, better defensively than the Farmer with a Shotgun tier, but honestly not by much. So now we're up to the King Kai tier, and you can say that these units are really, really good, but are held back by just certain small things. Now you're getting to the point where, you know, these are great units, and especially if you run them on the team that they're meant to be run on. But it does take a little bit of work to be able to get them at their peak. So, for example, God Goku does need the Pure Saiyans on his team, the Super Saiyans and all that fun stuff to really make him strong. The GT trio, I mean, there needs to be more GT units and GT youth units to make them worthwhile. But even with that, with the small limited amount of units that you can pair them up with, they're really powerful. The Broly trio legitimately has one of the best passives in the game. Absolutely insanity. And yet is only on 2 categories and has a pitiful link set. If there is a unit that comes out that shares that link set, that is GG at that point. But they just need to be added on to more categories. If their name was Vegeta or Goku, they'd be contenders for one of the best units in the game. But unfortunately, they just don't fit well on any team, including their own. You have the LR androids, who are very solid, but they do give room for taking damage, particularly if they're not in their 16 form. And unfortunately, that form only lasts for 3 turns, so you can't really depend on it. And then you have Intelligence LR Bojack. He looks pretty good on most teams. Like, he's good on most teams. He's spectacular on Space Traveling Warriors alongside of Strength Bojack. If you're able to get a Strength Bojack, you have the Int LR go first, attack first, get his 18 key off, give the rest of the turn a 40% attack bonus to extreme allies, and then you have the Strength Bojack go second, and you keep Strength Bojack in his normal form, not his full power form. You can go full power if you want. I don't know if they change any links. I would have to double check that. But even with that said, they share like 5 or 6 links just straight up. So the only reason I don't put Bojack up higher, the Int Bojack, is because really only one character does that for him. If you put him next to any other character, you know, I mean, are you going to run the World Tournament physical Bojack? Probably not, right? So are you going to run a TUR of him? I mean, you could. People did in the past, but it's not really that plausible. So that's the reason why he's down in the King Kai tier. So we're up in the Supreme Kai tier, and again, we are dealing with very, very powerful units. And I know some people might actually say, wait a second, the brand new Golden Frieza in 17 on the same tier as the 3-year anniversary units? And I think that's more of a compliment paid to the 3-year anniversary units than an insult made towards the 6-year anniversary LRs. And the reason for that is this. The Golden Frieza in 17 are spectacular. They need to get going, though. They do need to get going a bit. So for shorter events, it's a little tricky if you're not landing that 70% chance for additional attacks, right? They can get hit extremely hard. With that said, that's in the minority of times that it will happen. Besides that, they're spectacular units, and I love using them. Tech Broly, offensive beast, does have some issues dealing with defense, but for the majority of the time, you're just able to annihilate people before that's even a problem. LR Baby, again, another offensive juggernaut. Defense pretty good too. And then you have the lowering of attack on the super attack. And then you also have the chance of going Giant Ape, which can save people's asses constantly. LR Rose Goku Black, one of the hardest hitting units in the game, very easily to get him just smacking people up. And then his defense is okay if he's getting a hit after he super attacks. So he's in a tricky spot because you want to build additional so he has that chance to do that additional super attack and double his defense. But you also want to build crit so he can just absolutely smash people. And then you have the 3-year anniversary units. Listen, it's not a surprise that they would be this high up in the LR tier list when they are sitting just normal at 120% attack and defense. Keep in mind, the new Strength Vegito and the LR Vegito and the LR UI Goku and the LR Evolution Blue Vegeta are just at 150%. So this is 3 years and only 20% has been gained. So that tells you a lot. Not to mention they gain more ki on rainbow orbs. Not to mention after 6 turns they have that free sensu bean if you drop below health and then you turn into very powerful units. I mean, if we took like the Int Vegito and the Int Gogeta in those forms, those transformed states, they'd probably be up in the Whis Vados tier. Maybe even Grand Priest tier. You could argue that. Potentially the Vegito, since he buffs up the rotation and has those counters, right? It's not very hard to argue. And their links are absolutely god tier still. I do really think that they've aged so well. I'd even argue and say maybe they've aged better than the Super Saiyan 4s, but the Super Saiyan 4s do have the active skills, and let's get into that. We're up in the Beerus tier, and these are all bad men and ladies. These are all very, very extremely powerful units. You're talking about the 4-year anniversary units, and of course, we have the cheat mechanic of the rainbow orbs, like the 3-year anniversary have, where it's just so easy to get 18 key super attacks. And then we have the such ease of use active skills, 4 turns, and then you're doing ridiculous amounts of damage. So that's one of the main reasons why they're up in the Beerus tier. They're just so easy to use. You can kind of swap them into many teams, and they're still going to perform extremely well. They're very, very versatile. Now, the LR Kaelin Caulifla, not as versatile. You do kind of want to put her on her own team to really make her shine, because at that point you'll be seeing those 3 million, 4 million attack stats. Without it, then you're really only about 1 million. Now, keep in mind she does attack a bajillion times, so that adds up over over the course of that turn, just hitting so many times. Her damage does add up. And she's still one of the best defensive units in the game. You're talking about someone who stacks defense on her super attacks and gains dodge on her normal attacks and supers, right? Every time she attacks, she's gaining a percentage of dodge, and it caps at 66%. Just to kind of drive this thought through your noggin, the LR UI Goku and Strength UI Goku are 70%. So that's a difference of 4% missing, right? Pretty phenomenal. You have the Goku and Vegeta, the Blue Boys, as they like to say. Still a really unique and great character. I'm not a huge fan of the active skill because it's definitely an offensive juggernaut, but it leaves you vulnerable. So if you don't finish off a unit, then you can be in trouble. Now, when it does kill the character, when it does kill the enemy, then it's fantastic. Good link set, and then gets stronger with those rainbow orbs, which is always nice, right? Same thing with this LR Android 17 and Reps of 7. Kind of the same way, right? Gets stronger with the rainbow orbs, gets stronger with Representative Universe 7. The main problem, and honestly, if they had a better, like for example, if it was Universal Survival Saga that buffed them up, then they'd probably be in the Grand Priest tier. But because it's only Representative Universe 7, now that is a strong team, don't get me wrong, but the points I'm deducting is because it's only one category that buffs them up, and it kind of leaves it so they're limited on the teams that they could be run with. And that bleeds over into the Android Super 17, who on the Android's team, Target Goku boys, all that stuff, right? Absolutely incredible. Amazing defense, great offense, but it's the problem that I have with Android 17, the int one. You can only really put him on that one team. If you put him on other teams, his defense is going to be okay. It's going to be good. His offense is going to be okay. It's going to be good, but it's not going to be at the levels that he can be at his own team. The physical Majin Vegeta, a target or a what the hell is that thing called? The joint super attack. Why can't I remember the stupid name that they call it? But anyway, that special super attack that he does, unit super attack, if I remember correctly, it's a little restrictive. Yes, not as bad as some others, but it does make it so that physical Vegeta does have to be put in certain teams only, right? Has to be alongside certain units only. With that said, even without that unit super attack, this boy is very, very strong, and paired up next to an orb changer is even stronger. The thing that does make me hesitate a little bit is the fact that he only gains his stats after he attacks, so you do not want to put him in the first position where he can potentially get hit before he gains all his stats, because if that's the case, he'll get hit very, very hard. And then last but not least on this Beerus tier, you have LR Spirit Bomb Goku. I mean, he's just great. He's an orb changer, so he makes his own orbs. He gets stronger with Super Saiyans on rotation, and I know some people kind of say like, oh, well, that's kind of limiting. And yes, it is. You only can have Super Saiyans on his rotation, but honestly, that's the best teams that he belongs on. Now, if it was Saiyans, pure Saiyans or hybrid Saiyans, then again, Goku would probably be higher on this list. But since it's not, he's going to stay on the Beerus tier. Still, the Beerus tier, for anybody that is questioning, the Supreme Kai tier, the King Kai tier, all of these units are absolutely fantastic. All right, so we're getting very close to the summit here, guys. We're at the Whis Vados tier, the Guide Angel tier, and we're starting with Strength, Ultra Instinct, Goku. Absolutely spectacular units. Just get stronger and stronger as the event goes by. 70% chance to dodge in the beginning. Now, one of the reasons why he's not higher, like on the Grand Priest tier, is because in the beginning, he's not going to be doing a whole lot of damage. And if his 70% dodge doesn't kick in, then he will be taking a lot of damage. With that said, I'm a fan of his super attack, which is eliminating guard. I like that mechanic. Some people don't, and I respect that. The 5-year anniversaries are going to be next. They kind of suffer the same thing of Strength UI Goku, where in the beginning, they're not going to be hitting particularly hard. They're not going to be defensive that well. But after 4 turns, that's when they get going. After 5 turns, after 6 turns, they're going to be online and pumping out so much damage, and they're going to be so good defensively. Plus, you have the active skill that they're just able to end the majority of events. Not to mention their links are pretty darn good. You have LR AGL Gohan, one of the best raw defensive units of the game, stacking that defense very, very easily. Again, another unit that starts off at an okay spot, turn 1, but by turn 4, by turn 5 is absolutely ferocious. Takes very, very little damage. It's almost like 100% damage reduction by like turn 6, and is able to pump out 4 million attack stats with ease, right? And then if you have supports on rotation, even more. So very good unit. And if by a miracle of, you know, Allah, Jesucristo, and anybody else, Shiva herself, you're able to actually activate the transformation, potentially one of the highest attack stats in the game in that AGL LR Gohan, the Super Saiyan 2 version. Speaking about Super Saiyan 2 version, you have Super Saiyan 2 Tech Gohan. speaking about one of the highest attack stats in the game, there's your unit right there. The thing that I like about this unit over the physical Vegeta is they do gain their stats when they grab their orbs as opposed to when they're attacking. So even though you start on the rotation, you're looking at like 100k defense, you're like, oh, this kind of sucks. You grab a ton of orbs, and now suddenly you're at 200k defense, right? So it's really, really impressive. And the attack stats are kind of like, you know, LR Goku Black, the Rose, where the attack stats are just nutty, man. It's just ridiculous what they're able to do. And speaking about being ridiculous and what they're able to do, you have the LR Gohan and Goten, the Go Bros, as people call them. Still one of the best offensive oriented units in the game. I don't understand why some people kind of don't understand, like they just can't comprehend the sheer amount of damage that these boys are able to kick out. And it's mainly because it does take them a few turns to get going. With that said, they still eradicate, absolutely demolish, and just completely obliterate events that they get into. Especially if the events are past 3 turns, past 4 turns. Because one thing that I love is, yes, they need to, they gain their attack and defense, right? Every time they attack. Like, yeah, I get it. Okay, that's going to take a while for it to happen. But not really, because in their passive, they're built in additional attacks. So that's kind of a cheat code. Like, oh, it takes them a while to get going because they have to attack a bunch of times. But, oh, they attack a bunch of times every turn. So that fixes the very issue that they had. So I love that. And then you have LR Tapion and Minosha. Absolutely love this card. I think it's really, really good. And I think one big thing that they do, which I'm a huge fan of, is really 2 things. Number one, their siblings bond support. And siblings bond, honestly, is one of the best categories in the game. It's really, really strong. Storied figures, not so much. No one cares about that. But it's siblings bond that's so damn good. And I love LRs that give support. Super 17, for example, even though Super 17 is kind of wonky because it's like doesn't really match who's on his team, but whatever. With that said, we'll move on. LR Tapion Minosha can do very good damage, can be very good defensively, particularly with that damage reduction coming in. And again, if they're doing multiple super attacks, they can be very, very tanky. So great unit, give them a lot of additionals and call it a day. And then last but not least, we have LR Incel, talking about a great defensive unit. He's a wall. He really is a wall. And you got that free Sensu Bean. You drop below 30% HP in a difficult event. Guess what? You're back to full health. And now you have a guy who could nuke. And if he's grabbing enough orbs, can be a tank defensive, right? He's no longer a wall. He is now a steel-plated platinum, titanium, iridium, unobtainium tank. He just can't be penetrated, and that's the way he likes it. We are almost at the tippity top, ladies and gentlemen. We are starting with Strength LR Broly. His one flaw, if he gets hit before he attacks. That's it. After that, if he hits you, you're dead. If he's facing multiple enemies, they're dead. If he gets hit after he attacks, he's fine. Moving along. LR Buhan. Spectacular unit. The only problem I see with this unit is he transforms after a certain amount of turns. And when he transforms, he seals. Kind of useless. Very hard to pull off in Extreme Super Battle Road. I do think that they should create certain events where after 6 turns, the enemy can still be sealed. So let's just say if it's a 10-turn event, after 6 turns, his seal will actually function, because as of right now, it's kind of useless. But you're talking about a dude that, raises his defense on his 18 key and raises his attack on his 12 key. He's just spectacular. Like, gains back health, just does everything right. LR Jiren, another character that does everything right. He is made of bricks. This man is an atomic bomb that's fortified in a suit of armor. Right? He does so much damage, and he's great defensively, and he's great on Universal Survival Saga, and any of those like Tournament of Power style teams. And then you have LR Turles. Again, I told you how much I love support LRs. This guy is one of the kings of supports, and he does a lot of damage, and he's able to stun. And he's effective against all types when he's gaining a lot of ki, which is not that difficult for him. And something that the next LR excels in, and it's just not that difficult, is damage. LR Goku Frieza pumps out a ton of it, and they fixed the one issue that he had. Even after he attacked, he would get demolished in harder events. People would talk about like, oh, in the best of possibilities, Rainbow Starred LR Goku Frieza with Android 17 on rotation and Tech Tien, he gets to 200k defense. Wow, that's incredible. It's like, yeah, he's getting 100% defensive support from passives and his links. And it's just at 200k. Now, 200k is good, but that's not going to be the case every rotation. And that's a problem. Now it's not a problem because he's gaining defense when he's, super attacking, when he's attacking just everywhere. So now that same rotation goes from 200k defense to like 350, 400k defense. Now you're talking about a man and an alien in Frieza. Man, that can take some hits, and that I like to see. We're at the very end. And we're going to go with Goku Vegeta. So Strength, Angel, Goku Vegeta. And then we have AGL, Ultra Instinct Goku. And then last but not least, Intelligence Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta. Now, the Strength Vegito, as we like to call him, spectacular, just does everything right. Damage reduction on the first form, a ton of attack, additionals, just, gains more key on type orbs. It's a beautiful thing to see. And then when you have the transformation, you're gaining back health, you're able to counter. It's just really, really good all the way around. Links are great. You just love to see it. And then you have the UI Goku, 70% dodge always, 150% attack and defense, so defense is great, attack is great, you have the 50% chance to crit, which is ridiculous, additionals are automatic crits, which is weird, you have an active skill and a revival skill, same thing with the Intelligence Vegeta, just a brick tank, even on the God Instruction event. I've talked about this before, but in the past, I used to say, hey, this is Vegeta. I don't know if he's number 2. I don't know if people should consider him number 2 or consider him in the top tier of LRs. You might want to put him one step below. But then I used him a lot in the God of Destruction event. And I'm just like, wow, this guy makes it easy. He makes it so you're just not getting hurt when he's in there. So he's really impressed me. And the Zeno tier is just impressive to anybody, right? Just absolutely mind-blowing how good these characters are. And like I said before, anybody in the King Kai tier and above is really good. Anybody in the Supreme Kai tier and above can be made to look... I mean, in the King Kai tier, you could be made to look broken. Supreme Kai tier, you could be made to look really broken. Beerus tier, absolutely busted. Whis and Vados tier, take him out of the game. Grand Priest tier, they destroy the game. And then Zeno tier, they are the game. So that's essentially how they look. They should be looked at because all of these guys are really, really good. And if you have any of them, hey, be happy. And even if you don't, and if you have someone like, LR AGL Majin Vegeta or Mighty Mask, don't worry about it, because if you take a look at what they're doing with Gohan, he's gaining that defense. His offense is still great. Extreme Z Awakening, very good. Physical Trunks should be getting Extreme Z Awakening very soon. Super Saiyan 3 Goku, etc., etc. So they will be easy-aing these units. Don't worry about them. Your cards are safe to hold on to, and don't feel too shafted if you pull it. The only time you should get salty is if you pull a rainbowed unit like I did on my 66 multi-summon. Either way, if you've enjoyed this tier list, let me know in the comments down below. While you're down there, if you haven't followed the channel, what are you thinking? Go ahead and quickly click that blue join button. Become a Boomer Champion like Joe V. You can give a little thanks if you appreciated the video, or you can do it the free-to-play way. Gently rub that sub button, gingerly ring that bell button, lovingly kiss the like button. As always, this is Periodic. See y'all in the next video.